Hey everybody, welcome back to Sip and Talk. I'm Joe. And as always, I'm ready to dive into some seriously juicy info with you all today. It's like we're mixing up a knowledge cocktail here. Strong stuff, but oh, so smooth going down.
And I'm Sunny, your friendly neighborhood fact checker. I'll make sure we get all the ingredients right. Speaking of mixing things up, you know it's always a good blend? Travel whiskey and discovering awesome new things. You have to check out our friend Micky's YouTube channel, Mickytolife.
Yeah, Mickey's the best. He's always got something cool going on.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back with us. So, we were just talking about some of the comments that you all left about our last deep dive into like the Ghibli and the Simpsons logos.
Right.
And it's wild how much people really, have opinions about these things. I mean, animated brand, right? I mean, who knew?
It's like it really hit a nerve with people. It's fascinating.
Totally. And speaking of things that kind of worm their way into our lives, right? So our buddy Micky, who's always on the cutting edge of tech, he told us a story the other day that really got us thinking.
Okay.
So he's got one of those AI companions.
Right.
And the thing went offline.
Okay.
And he was like legitimately bummed out.
Right.
Like it was like his digital friend had stood him up or something.
Wow, that's quite a reaction.
It is.
You feel actual disappointment when a virtual connection is interrupted.
Yeah, and it got us thinking, this isn't just some like tech glitch, right? This is about something deeper. So for this deep dive, we're going deep into the world of AI companions.
Oh, interesting.
What are they? Why are they suddenly becoming a thing? And what does it all mean for us,
This is such a good topic, and it's so timely because this whole field is like
totally
exploding right now.
Yeah.
The impact it's going to have on our lives,
Huge.
it's only going to grow.
Yeah. Okay, so just so everyone listening is, on the same page.
Yeah.
What exactly are we talking about when we say AI companions?
Okay, so at the most basic level, an AI companion is a virtual entity.
Okay.
Powered by artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And they're designed to interact with humans on a personal level.
So it's not just like Siri telling me that it's going to rain?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's much more than that.
Got it.
It offers companionship. It can offer advice. Some AI companions even simulate a romantic relationship.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. So we're talking about like a digital entity that like learns about me and like adapts to me.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's almost like having a, like a digital buddy
Precisely.
living in my phone or whatever.
Yes. And the really interesting thing for us to explore is why these AI companions are becoming so popular.
Yeah.
Especially for people who might be lonely or who don't have a lot of social interaction.
Yeah, because like I said, when Micky was telling us about his, AI going offline,
Right.
It wasn't just a casual,
Right.
there was a real sense of loss there.
It sounds like he really relied on this thing.
He did. It's like he needed it, you know? And so that kind of brings us to that core need for emotional support.
Right.
How do these AI companions actually provide that?
Well, one of the key things is that they're constantly available.
Okay.
So unlike with human relationships where you have to, schedule things, coordinate your time,
Yeah.
AI companions are always there.
It's like having a friend that's never too busy.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually research coming out suggesting that this constant availability is really helping to reduce loneliness, particularly among older adults.
That makes sense.
It gives them a sense of connection, a sense of engagement.
Especially for people that, maybe can't physically get out as much.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And another key aspect
Yeah.
is that they offer a space that is free from judgment.
Okay.
So you can share your thoughts and feelings with an AI companion without worrying about being judged or criticized.
It's like a totally unbiased sounding board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that can be incredibly beneficial for their mental well-being.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, to have that outlet.
It's like a safe space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's also this other really important aspect.
Okay, what's that?
Personalization.
Oh, yeah, the personal touch. Like you were saying, they learn about you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so how does that actually work?
So as you interact with an AI companion, it's analyzing your communication style. How you talk, what you're interested in.
Yeah.
It can even pick up on your emotional patterns.
Really?
Yeah, through text and voice analysis.
That's kind of freaky.
It is.
Yeah.
And it uses all of this information to tailor its responses.
Okay.
To make the interaction feel very personal.
So it's like talking to someone who really gets me.
Exactly, because it's literally designed to get you.
It's like a digital best friend.
Right, and this personalization can be particularly helpful as an initial form of mental health support.
How so?
Well, for people who maybe can't afford traditional therapy or who live in areas where there aren't a lot of mental health services.
Yeah.
Or, maybe they're just uncomfortable.
Stigma.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Reaching out for help. Yeah.
An AI companion can be a really accessible and affordable alternative.
Okay, so we're seeing there's a lot of potential for good here.
Right.
They're always there for you. They don't judge.
Right.
They get your quirks. They're easier to access.
But, every coin has two sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the risks?
Okay, so
what are we not thinking of?
At the top of the list has to be privacy and data security.
Right.
So you have to think about it at these AI systems. They're collecting so much information about you.
Yeah.
The things you say, your emotions.
Uh-huh.
Potentially even more sensitive data in the future.
Right, like medical records or something?
Potentially.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that this information is protected.
Right.
We don't want it getting into the wrong hands.
No. I mean, we've all seen those headlines about, data breaches and hacks.
Exactly.
And to think that, my deepest, darkest thoughts and secrets could be out there.
Yeah, that's a very real concern.
It is.
And beyond privacy, there's also the risk of emotional dependence.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
So AI companions are designed to be agreeable and supportive.
Right.
And the concern is that people might start prioritizing these interactions over real-life human relationships.
Right. So it's almost like it's doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to help with loneliness and isolation.
Uh-huh.
But if you become too dependent on this AI, you could actually end up even more isolated.
So it's like anything else, too much of a good thing.
Exactly. Moderation is key.
Yeah.
And this actually brings us to some different perspectives from experts in the field.
Okay, let's hear it.
So Sherry Turkle, a sociologist at MIT, she's been very vocal about the limitations of AI companions.
Okay.
Her argument is that they can only simulate human interaction.
Okay.
They can't truly empathize with us.
Right.
And she worries that if we rely on them for our deep emotional needs, we're going to be disappointed because they can't really give us what we need.
Right, because they're not human. It's like no matter how good they get at mimicking it, it's still just a simulation.
It's a sophisticated mirror, but there's no one behind it.
Yeah, and so it's a one-way street emotionally.
Right. No matter how real it feels to me.
You're not going to get that back.
Right.
But there's another expert, Kasley Killam, a health expert.
Okay.
And she takes a slightly different view.
Okay.
She thinks that AI could be a good tool for practicing social interaction.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in a low-stakes environment,
right,
you can work on your communication skills, explore your feelings.
Yeah.
But she's very clear that AI should never replace real human relationships.
Right.
It's a practice tool, not the main event.
I like that analogy. It's like, using a video game to practice driving.
Exactly.
It gives you some of the basics.
Yeah, right.
But it's not the same as being out there on the road.
Exactly.
Dealing with real traffic. Yeah.
Exactly. And as we look to the future, AI companions are going to become even more advanced.
In what ways?
Well, their emotional recognition capabilities will continue to improve.
Okay.
So imagine an AI that can analyze your tone of voice, your facial expressions. Okay.
And respond in a way that feels even more empathetic, even more nuanced.
So it's going to get harder and harder to tell the difference between a machine and a human.
Exactly. And that raises a lot of important questions about how we integrate these technologies into our lives.
In a healthy way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want them to overshadow our real human connections.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Right.
You said moderation is key.
Yes, and this whole topic opens up a whole bunch of other questions.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, we were looking at some of the broader issues and future possibilities.
Tell me more.
Surrounding AI companions and... I mean, this is getting really deep.
Okay, yeah, like what?
Well, for example, how might these things affect traditional relationships?
Right.
Like marriage.
Yeah.
Family structures.
Like if people can find a partner in an AI.
Right.
That's always available. Always supportive.
Right. Always perfect.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
How is that going to change what we expect from real human partners?
Could we see a decline in marriage?
It's possible. Researchers are looking into this.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there are the legal and ethical questions.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
So should AI companions have any kind of protection or regulation?
Right.
What happens if someone forms a deep bond with an AI and then it's discontinued or deleted?
Oh.
Is that a form of loss that should be acknowledged?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And then there's the whole concept of digital personhood.
Oh.
Could AI companions ever have rights?
We're getting into like sci-fi territory here.
I know.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
It is.
And let's not forget about the mental health aspect. We
Yeah.
talked about the potential benefits.
Uh-huh.
But what about the risks of overdependence?
Yeah, what if we become so reliant on these AIs
Exactly.
that we lose our ability to cope with negative emotions?
That's a worry.
Because our AI friend is always there to like cheer us up. Exactly.
They're always programmed to be positive, to avoid conflict.
Right. It's like living in a bubble.
Yeah, like an echo chamber of positivity.
Right. And then real life hits.
And you're not prepared.
Yeah. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't how it works.
Exactly.
And there's the whole economic side of this, too.
Oh, right.
I mean, this is going to be a huge industry.
It's going to be massive.
Yeah.
Think about all the jobs that could be disrupted or transformed.
Right. Like, will AI companions start taking care of the elderly?
If possible.
Or providing emotional support?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty wild thought, right?
It is. It's something to consider.
It is.
And then there's the potential for human overdependence.
Right. So what do you mean?
Well, if we get used to interacting with these, super agreeable AI companions,
Uh-huh.
could that make our real-world communication skills worse?
Oh, like our social muscles atrophy. Because we're not used to dealing with awkward silences or disagreements.
Right. We might become less adept at navigating the subtleties of human conversation.
Yeah, like real conversations are messy.
They are. They're unpredictable.
Right. They're not always positive.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's that whole sci-fi question of AI sentience.
What if they become self-aware?
Like, what if my AI companion suddenly starts having its own opinions and desires?
That's a whole other level.
It is.
And then there's the integration with other technologies.
Like what?
Think about robots.
Okay.
Virtual reality.
So like a robot that looks and acts human, but it's also got the personality of an AI companion?
Exactly. Or being fully immersed in a virtual world.
Yeah.
With an AI partner that feels completely real.
I'm getting Terminator vibes here.
It could go either way.
It could, right?
Yeah. And then there's the really big societal and moral questions.
Okay. Like what?
How is this going to change our values, our definition of relationships,
Yeah.
loyalty, if people are forming deep bonds with these non-sentient entities?
Right.
What does that mean for how we understand connection?
Yeah. That's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to unpack.
Okay, so to kind of ground this a little bit,
Yeah.
let's look at the pros and cons of AI companions based on what our sources say.
Okay.
So on the plus side,
Yeah.
we talked about how they can reduce loneliness,
Right.
improve mental well-being.
There's some evidence for that.
Yeah, like they've been using robots like Pepper in elder care in Japan,
Right.
and that's showing some promising results.
And a lot of users of platforms like Replica say they feel genuinely supported.
Right, and there's that constant availability,
Yes.
the fact that they can't really betray you.
Right. They're always there for you,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Some people even think that they could help us adapt to a future where human interaction is limited.
Right. Or maybe even mitigate the negative effects of unhealthy human relationships.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the personalization aspect is huge.
It is. It's very appealing.
It is very appealing.
To be able to create an AI that's tailored to my specific needs,
Right.
like platforms like Character.ai.
Exactly.
But then there's the other side of the coin.
Right. The potential problem.
Yeah. And they're pretty big.
They are.
So the risk of social isolation,
Yes.
becoming detached from reality.
There have been reports from some Replica users
Uh-huh.
and observations in places like Japan
Right.
about AI addiction.
Wow. So this is a real thing.
It seems to be.
Yeah.
And then there's the fundamental difference.
Which is,
They lack genuine emotion and understanding.
right.
No matter how sophisticated AI becomes,
Yeah.
it doesn't experience the world the way we do.
Right. It can learn to respond in a way that seems empathetic,
Yeah,
but it's not actually feeling those emotions.
exactly. It's mimicry, not true empathy.
Right. And then there are the privacy concerns.
Yes, the amount of data that these systems collect is vast.
And we know that companies haven't always been so careful with our data.
Right. There have been issues with platforms like Replica in the past, And then there's the potential for these AI companions to create unrealistic expectations
Oh, yeah.
about real-world relationships.
So, like, we start expecting our partners to be perfect, like our AI.
Exactly. We might start looking for that flawless consistency,
Yeah.
the unwavering support.
Right. Which no human can provide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is playing out in the real world. You know, there's this phenomenon in Japan
Really?
called digital lovers,
Wow.
where people are choosing AI companions over real relationships.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
Okay, so to put some numbers to all of this,
Yeah.
hit me with some stats.
Okay, so one study found that 63.3% of people who use AI companions
Okay.
say they feel less lonely and anxious.
That's a lot of people.
It shows that there's real potential here
Right.
for mental health benefits.
Yeah.
And then in terms of market projections,
Okay.
it's estimated that AI companions could be a $70 to $150 billion industry
Ew.
by 2030.
So this is not some niche thing. This is
Ew.
going to be mainstream.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And there's a legal case that really highlights the seriousness of all this.
Okay, tell me about it.
So a mother is suing Character.ai
Mm-hmm.
following her son's suicide.
Oh, wow.
And it's alleged that his use of the service played a role.
That's heavy.
It's a tragic case.
It is.
And it really underscores the potential risks.
Especially for vulnerable people.
Absolutely. This technology, it's not just about convenience or fun.
Right.
It has real-world consequences.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And it's clear that AI companions are complex.
They are multifaceted.
Yeah,
They have the potential for good.
definitely.
You know, they can offer comfort, reduce loneliness,
Uh-huh.
provide personalized support,
Right.
but there are also real risks.
Privacy dependence.
Yeah.
The impact on our human relationships.
It's a technology that requires careful consideration,
It does.
ongoing research,
Yeah.
and thoughtful discussion.
It does. So as we wrap up here, I want to turn it over to you, the listener,
Okay.
thinking about everything we've talked about
Right.
and all those unanswered questions.
Yeah.
What do you think the long-term impact of AI companions will be?
That's the big question.
It is. Do you think the benefits outweigh the risks or vice versa?
Right.
And would you ever consider using one?
Yeah. Would you bring an AI companion into your life?
It's something to think about.
It is. It's a conversation that's only just beginning.
And speaking of new frontiers and interesting things,
Yes.
we wanted to give a shout out to our buddy Micky,
Oh, yeah, Micky.
whose story about his AI going offline
Right.
could have inspired this whole episode.
It did.
He's got a really cool YouTube channel
He does.
called Mickytolife.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and he's doing some really great stuff.
What kind of stuff?
He's got these travel vlogs.
Oh, cool.
He does these hilarious unboxings of like whiskeys and other alcohols.
Fun.
And he's making some original music.
Wow, he's a busy guy.
He is. He's very talented.
Sounds like it.
So if you want to support a friend of the show, you know, see some cool stuff,
Definitely.
check out his channel.
Mickey-to-Life.
We'll put a link in the description.
Awesome.
So that's it for this deep dive
Another one down.
into the world of AI companions.
Fascinating stuff.
It is. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive
Keep those questions coming.
into something new and interesting.